had a few guests now. They were all male. So as I'm always interested in having different kind of guests, I saw that you are very active on LinkedIn, and you're one of the very few women in the robotic or automation scene. So I was very keen to ask you if you would be my first guest, first female guest here. And yeah, happily you said yes. So nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I know it's not many women over there that want to change that. I'm working towards this goal. And yeah, like whatever you need to ask about my journey, I'll be more than happy to share.
Yeah, just yesterday I had a conversation about technical stuff, and yeah, this is a people's podcast. So, I mean, obviously, I would love you to talk a little bit about your work, but what I'm most interested in, and I hope the listeners as well, is how you came actually in contact with robotics. I have a few guests now that started as a computer scientists, like programming, and but finally found their way into robotics. So yeah, maybe we can start here. You go a little bit back in time. Tell me,
Okay.
how was your first time you got in contact with tech or robotics in specific?
Well, it's a little, yeah, it's a little long story, so I'm gonna try to make it shorter.
Yeah.
And I finished college a few years ago, and my background it's in industrial engineering.
Hmm.
And back then, I was like, I mean, I was happy with my choice, but I watched a movie, Iron Man. You probably saw that, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you saw this a few times.
Hmm.
And I was amazed by the movie and everything, and about the robots. And then I was joking with my friend back then. That was like, oh, I want to make one like myself. I want to work with robots one day. And I start laughing because in my mind it was just an idea, a crazy idea. But thank God my friend did not think the same. He said, like, why you don't try it? I mean, it is possible. And then back and forth, like in our conversation, I looked for some degrees, another degree, but then in my mind, like I didn't want to invest so much money in another thing, like in another degree. As I said, I just finished 5 years, and I was like, okay, I don't want to invest another 5 years in another degree that I'm not really sure about. Like it was just a movie in the end of the day. So what I did, like I did some research, and in Brazil back then, like as I said, I was 7 years now in Ireland. So back then there was not many option in automation, but I found one course that was like introduction to robotics, was just a few days, and was something that I could afford. So I scheduled this. I went to get trained, and I love it. I fell in love. I was like, yes, that's something I really want to work with. Was my first contact ever with industrial robots. I
Where was
even have
that? You said
sorry.
so. You said this was still in your time back in Brazil. So you're from Brazil, and so which year we are talking about? I think the Iron Man came out in 2008 or something, maybe.
Oh my goodness. Let me see. I came to Ireland in 2017, so I believe it was 2016 or 15, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I got trained, and I even have a video about the first robot I ever programmed. I mean, it was not an industrial robot because we don't start with, at least there, we start with something small. And I fell in love, and I said, like, yes, I really want to work with that. Well, but like life happened, I could not get a job or even pay for post graduation in automation back then. And then I decided to come to Ireland to learn English and improve myself to get a better job in Brazil. Like my plan was to come here to learn English for 8 months and go back to Brazil and get a better job. Then I could even go to automation. So I came here, and while I was here in Ireland, I decided to try my dream over here. I was like, why not go for it and see what I could get. I knew English was a factor because, as you know, it's not my first language, and it is a barrier. It is something, a issue, let's say. So I was not that confident, but I thank God I always had friends, really good friends. So she helped me. She said, like, go for it, like, just try. You never know. Because women, like, even I have a talk with women and on LinkedIn, we kind of have this concept in our mind that we need to be perfect to apply for a job or to do something, because in our mind, at least I was like that. Thank God I changed my mindset. If you're not good enough, like if you're not sure that you'll be 100% perfect, we wouldn't try. And that was me back then. So with the fear, I tried, and I got a job. I got a job opportunity in automation,
Here
but
in Ireland.
in Ireland, yes.
It's just
With
one
my
short, just
knowledge, yeah.
one short question. So, from all the countries you could have gone to, why did you choose Ireland? I mean, it's very specific and very different from Brazil, right?
Yes, yeah. My first option was Canada. I was with everything ready to go to learn English in Canada for 2 months. But it was more expensive, and back then you could not work. You have just to study. But here in Ireland, well, I'm gonna say 7 years ago, because I'm not sure if that changed. You could study like part-time and work the other part-time. So I would be able to make money and afford myself here for 8 months. And the best thing was I could travel around Europe, because from Brazil, like every time if you have got a flight from Brazil to Europe, it's really expensive. So in my mind, it's like you work more 8 months in Ireland than just 2 months in Canada, and it was kind of the same price. So that's the reason I came here, because this opportunity that Ireland offered, that I believe is still something like that. Then you can work part-time and you can study part-time. So you can, afford yourself, like pay for the bills and still work, still learning. And that's great. That was kind of the reason I decided to stay. But back then was just, it was not kind of work in automation. I used to work in other places. So when I got the work visa, and this opportunity in automation was great, because it was just with my knowledge, like that training that I did in Brazil. But because of my background in Brazil, of course, because before I came to Ireland, I was working in multinationals in Brazil. I had a good job there. It was not just, as I said, was not in automation. But like I had like 10 years in quality. I was working in project management, things like that. So when I came here and I applied for opportunity in automation, I was like, okay, I do not have the experience, but I have my background in Brazil, in multinationals, something like that. And my mind was like, well, that's going to help in some way. And it did. I got an opportunity to help them with quality, the ISO. So it was kind of, they were helping me with the training, and I was helping them with the ISO. So I got them the certification for the ISO, and they gave me the training and, to be able to go into automation. So that was like my first really working in automation, and was amazed. I was like, okay, that's really what I want to do it. But because it was a company that built the machines, the robotic cells, I used to do a lot of tasks, not just the robots, PLC, HMIs, and all the integration. So I was like, okay, my dream is really focused on the robot. So after that, like a few years after that, I decided to open my business. But like I would say that was my second, let's say my first experience in robotics, and my second time really programmed the robots. And since then, I never stopped.
I wanted to go back to something that you said early on. You said, for example, that maybe not generally speaking, but you said that very often women don't feel there's a need for it to be perfect to apply, right? I can't remember where I read it, but I think it was an interview with someone from recruiting for a big company. So it was an interview with a woman, and she said, she said that very often, like from 10 people, or from 10 men asking for a raise, 9 will ask for a raise. But from 10 women, just 1 will ask for a raise. So because men tend to be more confident about their skill set, let's say, not necessarily overconfident, but very confident about their skill sets, versus a woman might have insecurities about that. And I really liked something that you said, you changed your mindset. So this is not the case anymore, because when you're working together with people and you finally did that change of mind, you understand that the guy that is applying for this job is not better than you. He just had the balls, or he just had the
I
guts
do,
to
yeah.
actually apply for the. So really like your approach and saying, why should I not do it? Why should I not have the
Yeah.
opportunity? Why should I not get the opportunity or grab the opportunity on my own? So
I thought it was just myself, but after talking with women in automation and engineering, I noticed that it's kind of more than I was just me. It's just that fear that like, okay, we might not be good enough, but like the men that just try, and then if it doesn't work, they're okay with that. But for us, it's a big thing. It's like, oh my goodness, if like I don't have, let's say the job position is required 10 items, and I just feel like 7. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna apply because it's just 7, and they ask you for 10. But it's just the way we think, and I think we this is something that we need to come around and change our mindset. Like I have even a group on LinkedIn that we're trying to talk with each other. It's like we need to do something about that, because the young girls are in the same path. And it was like, no, you should try. Why not? It's not because, not saying you're not able to do it, you can learn. Like even it's just you should try and ask for and change this mindset, because it's not because, oh, we are not capable or able to do it. It's just the fear. It's like
yes.
it's just that fear that we need to change the mindset. Like the same way, like let's say the guys and the boys, they go for it because they don't have the fear, because okay, if they fail, it's
And
it's
maybe because
okay.
they get supported in a different way, right? So if you say, so I just have a baby girl, so she's 7 months old now, and you're always encouraging them, right? So try, like, do it. And I think this does a big part of gaining that confidence. I mean, in the very end, confidence um, should come from experience, or should come from proven
Yes.
from a stack of proven things, right? So something that you can rely on. But every now and then, like you said, there's a gap missing. Those three points on the CV are not are maybe missing. So, and you need to be able to cover that gap with confidence, to be able, okay, I might not know this yet. So instead of, I just don't know it, right? And yeah, I'm really happy that you made this jump. And so I remember back when I was studying mechanical engineering, we celebrated like the 10% mark of women being in that degree, in that field, right? So 10% is, it's not too many. And I know
No.
these days it's a little bit better, but it's still, you see, when you go into a fair, when you go into an exhibition, Motec, Automatica, these kind of places, then you see a lot
Yeah,
of
man.
men. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I go that daily basis. Every time I go to an event, like it's just me or maybe 1 or 2 more women. And I mean, it's a good thing here in Ireland, because now everybody knows me, because oh, Vanessa, yeah, yeah, because there's not many women. So when you once you know me once, you're probably gonna see more. But I think it's just this fear, like, oh, I think I'm not good enough, that I'm not gonna. And I was like, and even I'm trying to simplify robotics. It was like, it's not that big deal. Of course, if you want to design and build the robots, I believe I'm not there, but I believe you need to have a more knowledge. But that doesn't mean like if you're a male or female, that's not the point. It's just your knowledge. But the confidence to get there, like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Just go for it. I just try. Sometimes okay, if you try and you don't like it, that's totally okay. But don't apply for a job just because it's like, oh, they're asking this and
Hmm.
I don't have it. Like I'm gonna give you an example about my English, because I'm in Ireland, so you have to speak English to get a job. So when
Which city are you in? Sorry?
sorry,
Which city are you in?
it's Mullingar. It's a countryside in Ireland. It's
Mm-hmm.
not in Dublin. So I remember when I was applying for jobs, I was like, okay, but I don't think my English is that good to apply for jobs and things like that. So once I got the job, after, I should have applied like 6 months before I was thinking on it. But then when I really got the confidence, it's like, okay, I believe my English now, it's okay to communicate. And I applied for jobs and I got in the companies and I saw people there, men, that was speaking like half of I was speaking English, and for everyone was totally fine. I just said, it was like, yeah, well, like, why shouldn't I have time? Like, why I hadn't tried like 6 months ago? Like,
Earlier.
my level was the same. But it's just this thing that women have, and I believe it's more women, like, we need to be confident that we are 100% good. And I cannot explain why we feel that way, because I thought it was just me, maybe the way where I was raised, or the way that, not be good enough or something like that. But like, I think we need to change this mindset and try. And there are like a lot of women thriving, like, and I even said that once in something for the head we're doing for the girls. You don't need to be the best, like, of your field. You just need to be good at, like, you just need to do your job well done, like everything you're gonna do. I mean, doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna be the doctor, I need to be the best one, or otherwise I'm not gonna apply for it. I mean, that's not the concept. If you wanna, if you wanna be a robotics programming like me, it was like, you don't need to be the best. I don't believe I'm the best, but I believe I'm good and I like what I do, so I go for it. It's just that mindset that I believe the women, we have to change. Like, if I'm not the best, I'm not gonna try.
And how can you become the best if you're not trying? So if there's no opportunity to gaining experience, there's no way for you to become the best if that is your goal.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against, of course, if you want to do the best, go for it. But don't let this hold you back to try, if you know what I mean.
Maybe you can tell me a little bit about the Valoy automation. So how
Valoy
did this
Automation.
came to how this came together? So this is interesting. I saw the videos, and so every now and then you're showing something on LinkedIn. So please, maybe you can be so kind and then give us a little bit insight how this came together and what you guys are actually doing.
Yeah, I opened my business 2 years ago. Back then, before I opened, I was working in a manufacturing company, and I noticed that a lot of contractors were going there to do some service on the machines. Just to give you an idea, I was the only automation engineer of the factory. They had like 50 robot cells plus 300 machines. So I was not able to manage that many. I mean, I'm good, but I'm not, like, I cannot be in two places at the same time. So sometimes they were hiring contractors to help with the machines. And what I noticed, that most of the time, those contractors were spending like a day, sometimes a week, to trying to fix a machine that I was fixing in 5-10 minutes, an hour. So, and worse than that, like, even if they had fixed one of the machines, I have to go back there on the other day and correct, because they're not really fix it. They just did something to make the machine work, but not really fix the problem. So what I noticed was like, okay, I have a gift here. Like, I know machines, I learn really quick. I can see the problems and fix, and like something easier for me. And it was like, if that is the competition, like, I can do much better than that in a less time, because sometimes they spend 1 week or two. I even said that in the other interview. There was a situation that I think was the point decision that made me think really, thought about my business, because one of the machine was a problem with the safety, but because the warranty, I could not fix the robot. If you change the program, you could lose all the warranty. So I called the company and I explained the situation. I explained the problem, and then they sent someone, a technician, to fix. I explained the technician and I explained I cannot fix it, but that's the problem. So he didn't need to troubleshoot in the machine to find the problem. So because I already knew. He did not believe me. He spent like 2 days to find the problem that I already told him. Then he spent 2 more days and nothing was going on, and the machine was down for production because without safety, I would not allow to go to production. Then I explained to him, like, you can, like, that's the way you should fix. Like, and then I told him, you'd go to these steps and you can fix it. Like, I did not fix it because of the warranty. He told me, Vanessa, you don't know what you're talking about. It was like this. And I was like, okay, I have 400 machines to care about. You just do your job then and call me when you're ready. And because, I don't really agree with people that, okay, if they tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, I was just like, okay, and let them try. Anyway, after 1 or 2 weeks trying it, I was like, okay, I have pressure from my boss because we need the machine on production. It was down for 2 weeks. I asked him to call the technician from the robot brand and talk to him and listen to him, as he didn't want to listen to what I was saying. The technician said the same thing I told him, and he was not happy because it was like, oh, I don't think it's this. Anyway, back and forth, like 2 more days, he finally let the brand technician fix the machine, and I just realized I found the problem and I knew how to fix it in 1 day, and a contractor was here for 2 weeks and a half, and he could not even, and he was well, he didn't get paid from the company because it wasn't the warranty contract.
Oh, okay, true.
But it could be something, but their employer, probably their company, was losing money. But in my mind, it was like, and he did not fix the problem. Who fixed the problem was the technician of the brand, who was kind of, you'd have like a help desk that you can call. But and I realized, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna open my business because I can do much better than this guy, and I can save time and money. And I came along and I was like, okay, I'm gonna open my business. If it doesn't work, I can go back and work in automation again. I mean, I'm not changing my field of experience. I just going to work for myself. And I think that was the point that I decided, okay. Then I think a few months, I think 1 or 2 months later, I told my boss. Then I gave him around, I think, 2-3 months in advance until I opened my business and have all the paperwork. And I got training in other brands, because back then I was just training 2 brands and 2 robot brands. So I decided to open the business. And now what Valoy is about, Valoy Automation, is about to help with the old robot cells to improve, increase the outputs and reduce cycle times, or even troubleshooting, and even training the operators how to properly troubleshooting the machines. And I'm not saying fixing, but troubleshooting basic stuff. Okay, got in the morning, the robot's not working, what I should do? Like, go to the few steps. If those steps doesn't work, then you call the technician. A few things the operator can help. And then another point is to help the machine builders, because sometimes they don't have enough people in-house to program the robots. Because sometimes they have a lot of projects, and that same programmer is programming the PLC, the HMI, and then if they don't have enough people in the house, especially here in Ireland, I would say that's not many over there, especially specialized in robots. So I saw 2 gaps on the market. I was like, okay, I'm gonna open, and now I'm here for 2 years, and I said that was really a good decision. But as I said before, the worst part was my fear when I decided to go forward. Like, when I said, like, yeah, I'm trying with if I'm afraid or not, I'm gonna try. And then after that, everything just fell like in place and everything worked out. But the fear of like, oh my goodness, that's not going to work, that might not going to work, that was, I think, the worst part.
So this is 2 years ago, right? So for now, for
Yes.
2 years, you're doing basically the things that you were doing the years before that, but now you are not employed at a customer side or plant or manufacturing side versus having your own business and customer coming to you and say, okay, we have problems with programming, we have problems with robots in general. And how big is your team? Is it just you? Is it how
Yeah,
many
for
people do
now
you?
it's just me because it's a new type of, let's say, business way here in Ireland, I would say, because you can find a few freelancers, but it's not the same type of quality of programming that I offer,
Hmm.
because I offer a specific, what I do, I program the robot from scratch. I don't use templates. So I'm like, I try to simplify the code so the operator can understand more or less what is about it. I mean, not that they need to go and change the code, but like something more simple, even to do maintenance. And because here in Ireland, you can find the robot programming in the package when you buy a new robot cell. Of course, they're gonna build the cell
Offer
and
this.
program the
Hmm.
robot, and everything is gonna be fine. But it's not easy to find a person just to go there and, let's say, I want to add one product to my line. Like the robot, the machine builders usually don't do this type of service because for them it's worth more build a whole machine. That's how I
Hmm.
make money. So because it's new the way that I'm approaching here, and I don't have like a lot of customers to afford another person, for now it's just me. Well, of course, I have a plan for a few years that I have when I have more customers and like bigger projects, then to hire somebody else. But for now, it's just me.
It's not just you, it's you, right?
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Yeah, that's
and
correct.
so
Thank you.
how is it for being a woman in that industry, in that niche, the robotic niche on LinkedIn? So how is it for you using social media for you? Because I'm talking to a few people in that niche, and so the question comes up: is social media really worth doing? Is it worth spending your time with? Is that something where some leads coming out of it? Is it good for connection and networking? Maybe you can, yeah, tell me a little bit about this.
Well, my one just kind of happened 6 months ago after the Automatica in Munich. Before
Hmm.
then, I had like 2,000 followers. I was not using the LinkedIn as a social media, but it's just happened that people start liking what I was posting. Then I realized it's like, okay, I can really show what I do. And I started posting about it. And now this year, I even kind of changed a little bit my strategy to focus what on my service and what I am. So you're gonna see more posts about me because I was usually posting videos about some, just reposting. So I would say, for me, it helped open doors. Like I'm not receiving money, like LinkedIn is not paying me. I'm not getting like I didn't get any customer yet from LinkedIn, but it opened doors because when I go, for example, to a customer, a possible customer or somebody else that I'm talking, and then they ask my LinkedIn and they opened, they was like, okay, Vanessa might know what she's talking about. She's a top voice in robotics. She has more than 30,000 followers. So this is kind of for me now, it's open doors and helping with partnership with other brands. Because what I do, especially if someone follow me on my LinkedIn, I usually post, actually I post more about the brands that I work with. So you're gonna
Hmm.
see most now probably 6 brands in my videos. And even the information I post about the robots, it's the brands I work with because it's the information that I know it's true. They're not like just Googling it or just get it on the
Hmm.
internet. So I know that information is true because I work with those brands. So what is for me, it's kind of open the doors and better partnership with the brands. And like customer, I hope that it will come in the future, it'll take a little longer because my customer, at least here in Ireland, they don't really use the LinkedIn as a social media.
Hmm.
But I would say if someone have a business like me, it's important to have something like that just to pass some confidence when you're gonna talk to your customer. It's like my portfolio. Like you can get into my website or you're gonna find me on LinkedIn. It's like, okay, who is Vanessa? I have
Hmm.
never heard about her. And then you go to my LinkedIn and I see a few things, and it was like, okay, she might be someone then. So for
So it
me,
so,
yeah,
so it gives you a kind of credibility that
yes, yes,
most people, I mean, so for a lot of people, this kind of credibility is something that you earn, that you gain. But here you're using social media as leverage and in showing like I do know what I'm talking about. I do
yes,
share
exactly.
I'm very transparent about the work I'm doing, very transparent about the brands I'm using, and transparent about the knowledge that I have and that I'm sharing. I like the idea of not only sharing some other people's work, but doing your own work. So I'm quite active on LinkedIn as well. This is where I saw you as well, and so I'm talking regularly to people in that niche as well. And the majority of them is sharing things that we see that we think our
Yeah.
audience find interesting. But you're among the very few that is sharing more of their own work, and I
And the
really hope that.
knowledge, I think sharing our knowledge, it's amazing. Like people like, I even have like a Wednesday info hashtag that I post information. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's something, if you work with robots, like this is so basic, but like people doesn't know. And I found like, okay, I'm gonna share a little bit, like, because in what I believe, like if people do not like robot, or worse, they're afraid of robots, they won't work with robot, they don't want their boss, or they won't buy a robot. So we are not getting the wheel running. Like we need people liking the robots, so they want to work with the robots, and then everything else combined. But like if the person doesn't know what is a robot, or worse, every time I say like what I work with, they think like, oh my god, that's like it's a space rocket. I was like, no,
Mm,
it's not that complicated. Like I'm not building the robot, it's not something that complicated, but it's just the lack of information
mm.
on even like the true information online that I can.
So as you said, so this is something where there are not too many women in that specific niche, or at least not that visible.
Yes.
And did anybody ever reached out to you also asking for guidance? Because every now and then I do receive a message and I'm saying I might not be the right guy for that. But like having not necessarily girls, but people in general reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, thanks for sharing. I would like to know this and that. Maybe you can help me a little bit." Because as you said, right, there's a few things. You came from another continent. You don't, I mean, English is not your mother tongue. You are a female. So these are a few, I don't want to call it disadvantages, but challenges. So
Yes.
it's challenges, right? And so you overcame them. So this is something that takes strength, that takes grit to and perseverance, so really coming through the challenges. You said, for example, you opened a business that is stressful enough, right? Filling out all the paperwork. And so I can guess that there are a few people who will feel inspired and say, okay, if because this is what role model is all about, right? So you see somebody doing something, and then you think, I'm not that much different from that person. I might be someone who's not coming from Brazil, but maybe coming from Colombia, or coming from a different country, and say, okay, there might be a possibility for me. If she can do it, I might be able to do it as well. So, did anybody ever reached out to you?
Yes, a lot, a lot. Like for the past year and this year, I am a mentor that was kind of I do for free on the Strada. Mentoring manufacturing is a program for women in
Hmm.
manufacturing. So I'm a mentor there, and there is one in Ireland called STEM as well to bring the little girls for automation. I'm starting this year. And I had one mentor as one mentee last year. And after a lot of approaches, let's say because my LinkedIn grew, I opened like I had the like I opened like a service that I do that is like 5 sections of mentoring for the person. That doesn't mean that need to be a woman or it can be a man as well. For now, because my schedule is a little tight, no one it's applying for, because this is not free. The free ones, it's the ones I do for women. That one, it's just the two, as I said, the Strada and the Stamp. I can send you the link after. But the other ones you have to pay for, because it's kind of my time, it's something that I do specific for that person. Because let's say one can be a woman that wants to get in automation, but she has no idea where. Like automation has a lot of opportunities. You can be a programmer, you can be a design, you can sell, so I cannot just be a general mentoring. So it's specific for what the person wants. And then I explain, I guide, I tell them what training to do and things like that, and even explain more. Like my mentee last year, I gave her like, even she, I got her like a working experience here in Ireland. I would say it's just like an internship for a few weeks. So it's something that I do, but that one unfortunately is not for free because of my time. But yeah, because of LinkedIn now, I'm seeing that a lot of people, it's okay, I need support, I need mentoring, so then I help with that.
Very interesting and exciting to see that you're actually using your experience to help others as well. Because this is in the very end, this is what it's all about, right? Nobody's a self-made man. We always experience some way of help in one way or another. It might be just mental help. Somebody's pushing you, somebody's encouraging you, somebody is believing in you, or sometimes physical, like you said, you were able to connect someone with an internship. As we're coming to an end, I understood now where you're coming from and the things that you went through. But what I would like to understand is, so what have you planned for, not maybe necessarily not only this year, but for the future? Is there something, I mean, you said you would like to grow your company, but is there something specific you have in mind? Is there a bigger picture?
Well, in a few years, let's say in 5 years' time, I see myself working with more brands, at least 10 brands here in Ireland, even in Europe, and have I would say a bigger team, not bigger, but like more than just me, like 2 or 3 people helping with that. And then start offering like another type of service that I used to do years ago when I was an employee. That's the research from like what you call proof of concept. Let's say a customer just had an idea, but you're not sure, but then you can do the research and things like that. That was something that would in 5 years time I would like to add to my business as well, because I think that's important. And even the online training is something that I'm working now because of the LinkedIn, and see what I can help with the online training. Of course, is an industrial robot. I'm not saying that you're gonna be fully trained to perform, to work with an industrial robot, but let's say the introduction, the basic can be done online, and that would help people to at least have that sense of, is this what I really want to, before investing more time and money. That's what, because that was I did a few years ago. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna pay something that I can afford to see the introduction. So that's something that I want to do as a business, and of course grow in Ireland and to be like the reference in robot programming here. Because the way my new, well, not I would say new way, but I code in a different way, and I want to simplify the robotics programming, and that's I want to be referencing that.
Yeah, thanks for giving insights. I mean, there's a lot of startups at the moment that are trying to democratize robotics in general, right? So software companies that are thinking the way robotics was handled by those 4 or 5 very big companies, right? So FANUC and KUKA and Yaskawa, and so Universal Robots did something like that, like over 10 years ago, right? With their cobots and the Universal Robots Academy. So really bringing this to the people so you can buy this. I mean, You can, yeah, instead of going somewhere and paying 3, 4, 5,000 euros for specific training on KUKA, on for FANUC, versus buying a cobot, which costs 20, 25, 30K, and then being able to get all the training more or less on your own. And the way the way the robot program works here is in a more intuitive way and much simpler. So your approach in maybe there's an opportunity, not today, but maybe in the future, so I can bring robotics even closer to the people, is definitely something I see coming, and I can support. So I will definitely reach out to you once
Oh yeah, definitely.
there will be a course coming. I would love to support it
To
in any
support.
way. So yeah,
Yeah,
please.
because I believe like that's what I want to show people. It's like that's not that complicated. Because I want them to see and like the robots. Otherwise, it'd be really hard to implement the robot on on your work. I saw that when I was working manufacturing every time, even though they had 50 robots, like when the conversation comes along, why we might need another one. I was like, oh, you're gonna replace people, we're gonna lose jobs. And it was like, not really. And but it's that afraid, that misconcept that, oh yeah, the robots is they're taking our jobs, they're not great, they're gonna kill us, or worse. So I want to do this like in a simple way, in a like introduction. As I said, it's not something that they're gonna be fully trained to, because I do not agree with online training for industrial robots to to learn how to program and jog the robots, because in my opinion it's not safe. But the introduction to get like,
Mhm.
do you like this? Like, do you want to invest more money and get the full training on the robots, or is just like a dream? It was like, no, that's not really what I like it. But it's good to have that connection, because it is possible. It's because the biggest brand, they're already doing that. They already simplify the way you
Mm.
code to bring those people to automation. Because before, like, I know I code in old school, like you have to write the code most of the time. And now even with the cobots, you just press, hold the robot around and teach the position. And I was like, oh, that was great. We didn't have that years ago. So yeah, no, that would be really nice to can partner for something like that.
I mean, it's actually they're forced to do this, right? Because other companies that are offering this kind of service or offering this kind of user experience, this is something that the customer wants, right? Throughout our mobile phones, we came together. We came in contact with a world where things are very intuitive, very simple to do, and now we are in an industrial robot world where everything is very hard coded and very, very every single robot brand has their own architecture, and it's very specific. You cannot switch between the robots very easily. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely the approach where the robot companies are forced to deliver this, because this is actually something that people are asking for, especially in times where less and less people are very well trained, or companies would like to spend so much money on their employees.
Yeah, because if it's too complicated, they're not gonna buy it.
Hmm.
Because if it's too complicated to understand, it's too complicated to maintain, to
Hmm.
troubleshooting, and sometimes it's like, no, that's not what I want to. And like I even did like a questionnaire on LinkedIn. It was like, what's the biggest issue you face after you bought a robot cell? And the most replied, employee training. Because if it's too complicated for the employee understand
Hmm.
the machine, and not saying to program the machine, is how to use. That's the employee
Hmm.
that's going to use the machine and work beside the robot. If it's too complicated for them, like they probably are going to quit, or like that employer not going to buy another robot because they're like, oh, it's too complicated, I lost already people because they don't want to work with robot. So it's just like a problem there that I saw when I was working, and I want to like change this mindset and simplify even the way. Let's say if the brands that don't want to go in the simple way, that is a simple way to code, even okay
Yeah.
with the old, let's say with not the old, but with the software they have now, there's a simple way to code. And I believe, I agree with you, in the future they're probably gonna get easier and something that you can use like in the robots. something like that, because otherwise people are not going to buy it.
I'm very happy that you gave me an insight about yeah, not only the situation, the automation situation in Ireland, but the situation for women. This is yeah, a topic that is interesting not only for me, I guess, but for many people. And yeah, I was very lucky that you said yeah, when I approached you, you said yeah, why not? So I really loved the spontaneity. So you being so spontaneous and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. I'm keen to see what 2024 is bringing to us, and yeah, if there will be a course coming, please reach out to me again,
Oh, sure.
and then we will see if we can do a follow up to this interview here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity.
No, thank you. It was a pleasure. Take care and bye bye.
Bye.